so nice. Should we turn off the light?
I think so, yeah, good idea.
Hang on, hang on.
Okay, so can start now? Yeah, okay. So first of all, thank you very much for being here. Thank you to Rory for inviting me to this great event. For the sponsors also from Commerce Tools, thank you very much. So let's get started. My name is Carlo Villegas. I am co-founder and CTO of Rozett.Ai. We are just founded new brand startup. So let's get started. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the metaverse, what it is, what we think it is, because it's something that is something crazy. We're going to talk about a little bit of artificial intelligence, about what we are doing in my startup, in Rozett.Ai. And we're going to talk about non-fungible tokens, because it's what also we are using to sell products, right? And of course, Rozett.Ai, which is the startup. So a little bit about me, as I told you, is I am Carlo Villegas, Rozett.Ai co-founder and CTO of this startup. I was born in Mexico. I am an aerospace engineer. I started to work in Bombardier Aerospace. Later, I came to Spain to study a master in project management. I started to work in different companies like Airbus Defence and Space, KPMG. There, I started another master in big data and data science. I worked in EY, in the Center of Artificial Intelligence, for a couple of years in the web space. Then I decided to leave that company to get into Demio, which is an incubator of startups. And there I met my other two co-founders, which are in Madrid, and we founded together Rozett.Ai. So what is Rozett.Ai? In a nutshell, we create interoperable wearables for the metaverse. Basically, our clients are businesses, like for example, Football Factory, but hopefully could be also Mango, Zara, and all these huge companies that can or want to have presence in the metaverse, and they want to bring their product into the different platforms like the Central or Sandbox. So what the process is like, they provide us with a video of the real or the physical product, or different images from different point of views, with a first layer of deep learning, which is actually nerves. This is a technology from NVIDIA. We digitalize this product and we create the 3D model. And then this 3D model, we use it as an input for a second layer for using GANs. We are using generative adversarial networks. We transform this 3D model to fit the look and feel for the specific platforms that we are, in this case, aiming, which can be the Central and Sandbox, but in the future it's going to be a lot of platforms. So before to going more in deep what we are doing in Rozett, what the heck is the metaverse, no? Because everybody is like talking about the metaverse. We hear about Facebook, they changed their name to Meta and everything. The thing is that the metaverse is something that is work in progress. We can find a lot of definitions about it. So let's talk about a little some of the definitions about them. Some say that this is the next evolution of the internet, where when the user can actually possess a part of the content and not just interact with it. Let's say that, for example, you can create an NFT from an article and you can actually possess it. You can buy that NFT, and because this NFT, you have it in your ledger, is yours, right? Also, another part of this is that you can interact, for example, in a video game or a game into Sandbox, for example, and get actually rewarded by it. This is mainly because behind of the metaverse, not always, but mainly, you can find blockchain technology, no? And with blockchain technology, you can create either the non-fungible tokens or the tokens which are fungible, like Ethereum, Bitcoin, and all these type of crypto coins, no? Another definition is like, for example, the vision that we can find in the movie and in the book of the Ready Player One, which is a virtual world connected among each other. Basically, if you have seen the movie or read the book, you can see that all the people get connected into a virtual world, and basically all the economy of a country basically can be managed and traded inside it. In this part or in this movie, everything is virtual reality. I think that the metaverse is not going to be only virtual reality. It's going to be a mix of different technologies, like augmented reality. Imagine that we are wearing some augmented reality glasses You are walking to the street and you are actually interacting with some avatars that are actually managed by real people using virtual reality glasses in their houses. So it's going to be a really interconnection or a connection for different technologies. Another definition from this guy, who's a guru for the metaverse, Matthew Ball, is that the metaverse is an interoperable network of real-time rendered 3D virtual worlds which can be experienced synchronously and persistently. This sounds very like fancy and everything, but well, let's see what's happened. The thing is that the metaverse is going to be a lot of things, cannot be also a lot of things because there's a lot of promises. But one thing is that it will be a lot of fun. So it's not only technology. So when we are trying to explain what is the metaverse, we can see it from the business point of view, because this is the metaverse is opening a new revenue streams for a lot of companies. It's bringing a lot of new cases also to different startups. So there's a lot of room for tech people, marketing people, business people. So it's a lot of things. So also we can talk about the social good and bad impacts of the metaverse, as well as all the issues that will bring regarding data privacy, because now the new metaverse is going to create a lot of new data regarding biometric data. I will talk a little bit about that later, but this is going to be huge about that data and all the consequences regarding data privacy. Environmental issues as well, because we're going to need a lot of energy to actually power the metaverse, no? So we can talk about also that all the environmental implications that this has, as well as the legal and compliance, because all of these implications have to be regulated, have to be according to something about the things. So the thing is, this is too much, no? So we can talk about all the different aspects, but the thing is that we can see it as an opportunity as well. So for businesses, at this moment, the top 10 metaverses from 2017 up to January of 2022, for this year, the historical sales of NFT add up to 110 billion, which is something huge, and only the top 10 metaverses. We are not taking about or into consideration the rest of the metaverses. To be honest, I don't know how many are there, right? Or not metaverses, but platforms, right? The equivalent of these 110 billion euros is that they have been sold 203 million NFT in all these top 10 metaverses for the 2017 up to 2022. And well, the thing is that according to McKinsey, in a new paper that they just released, the investment for the metaverse in this year has doubled already what has been invested in 2021, adding up to or more than 120 billion euros. And according to McKinsey, for the potential value for the metaverse up to for the 2030 is going to be 5 trillion euros. Not even artificial intelligence was valued in so many potential values, right? In their infancy. So this is going to be a huge potential for everybody. So if we talk about some cases, for example, at this moment we can think about marketing campaigns, initiatives that we solve and we apply in the common way, no? But when we will have the fully operational metaverse, we're going to be able to apply ultra segmentation, no? which is like something higher than the hyper segmentation that we do at this moment. Why is this? Because at this moment we can, or you can infer some data, and you can create hyper segmentation, doing historical your searches, your cookies, wherever, all the data that you can access, you can create hyper segmentation. But with the biometrical data that is going to be able because of the metaverse, they're going to track us with the voice, with the face, with the eye tracking. With eye tracking is very, very well, like nice or not nice, because you can infer by that if some people or user is using drugs, if some people is mentally affected with something, or even if the content that they are receiving is actually having the expected emotions that they want you to have it, no? So this biometrical data is going to be something very good for, well, very good or potentially good for people that process the data, right? Another use case is that the learning and development. Imagine that you enter into a virtual room where you are actually learning something, And because of this same biometric data that the platform is getting from you, this content is adapting in real time for you to learn better, for you to understand better the content. So this is also something that, in my opinion, is going to be really nice. And another use case is public services. This means that we're going to have effective public services that are going to be actually managed by non-player characters. This means that it's not going to be driven by a person, but by an artificial intelligence. So the three cases are related by artificial intelligence. So we are starting to see that there's a lot of room for tech people, people that knows data science, machine learning, but not only that, we're going to talk about the framework, the metaverse as a framework, no? All the things and all the dimensions that the metaverse has, no? This is something that Matthew Ball defines in his book, The Metaverse and How It Will Revolutionize Everything. So let's talk about it. The first point or dimension is the hardware. This means that we're going to need physical technologies and devices to access and interact and develop. We're talking about virtual reality headsets, the augmented reality, haptic suits, and everything. No? Also compute, because we're going to need calculation to the physics of that certain platform. We're going to render, we're going to need to process all this information that is being created. So all the possibilities for this, for me, in my opinion, is going to be also very nice. The networking as well, the persistent real-time connections and fast and big bandwidth. Companies like Telefonica are going to have a second big chance in the internet era, no? In the new internet era. Virtual platforms, everybody is going to be able to create virtual platforms. Sandbox now at this moment is one of the major key players, but imagine a low code or no code tool that you can actually build wherever you want and connect it by others or with other platforms. Interchange tools and standards. This is where we are as Rozett. This means that in some way, one of the main promises of the metaverses is that you can you buy an asset, you can take it to another platform, and that the interoperability exists between the assets, between the avatars, between everything. But at this moment, this is an issue that needs to be solved. No? Payment services. When we think about payment services, we always think, well, regarding the metaverse, we always think about crypto, no? But it's not only crypto. We can develop other processes that should be paid by, or could be paid by fiat, as well as content and other services. Designers and creators can create their content, and other services that are not completely integrated with the metaverse. For example, how to connect a marketing campaign in the real world with a marketing campaign in the metaverse. All this is just great in my opinion. So all the opportunities are here for startups, for creators, for technical people, for businesses, all the new businesses. So for me, this is just great. So talking a little bit more, or a little bit of Rozett.Ai, this is the problem that we are trying to solve, the interoperability and creation problem. At this moment, the metaverse is composed of several platforms like the Decentraland, Horizon, CryptoVoxel, the Sandbox. All these platforms are created in closed environments, and for example, the Sandbox they have like a more voxel style than the Decentraland. This means that if you buy a T-shirt in the Decentraland, you cannot take it into Sandbox. You have to buy the same shirt if it exists twice, once in the Decentraland and once in Sandbox. This is mainly because these companies, well, they started to create the virtual worlds without actually thinking the interoperability. So the process today, if a brand like the ones that we are aiming to work with want to be in the metaverse, they have two options to enter into the metaverse. The first one is to hire freelancers, designers, 3D developers that can actually develop your product. It takes some risks and is, for example, it takes like 3 or 5 days. For example, I hired one guy from Fiverr. They gave me back a 3D model that doesn't look like what I asked him. So there's a lot of issues. And the other option is the NFT studios, like Infinite World, for example. The thing is that this type of companies charge you about $50,000 to $100,000 to create a collection. So it's a lot of money, and not all of the companies, small or mediums, can access to it. Once they have your 3D models or your collection, you can enter to the metaverse by offering that NFT in this case, because mainly all of these are offered as an NFT, selling them in different marketplaces like OpenSea, Sandbox, and Decentraland, and they have their own marketplaces. No? So our solution is that we have designed this solution. We have two pipelines. The first one is the artificial intelligence pipeline, and the second one is the NFT one. In the artificial intelligence pipeline, as I told you, we started with a base design from a physical product. We use it as an input into our artificial intelligence. As you can see, we have two different models because we have to learn and teach to each of our models of artificial intelligence to learn the specifics of each of the metaverses. As a front end, it's just like a model, just like an artificial intelligence, but in the back we are developing several models for each of the metaverses, or the platforms, I mean. The output is basically the 3D model with their corresponding look and feel. Once we have the different 3D outputs, we have to mint it and create it as an individual NFTs, because if you want to use that shirt, for example, in Decentraland, this shirt has to be minted in their specific blockchain, as well as Sandbox, as well as crypto voxels, and so on and so forth. So you are creating an individual NFT for each of the 3D models. But what we are offering is something that is called a nested NFT, which is an NFT that contains all the different NFTs. This is mainly done only at this moment with Ethereum, but we believe that in the future more chains and more cryptos is going to expand their things. Once we have this nested NFT, we put it into the marketplace. That means that the user buys only one NFT, and in their wallet they have all their corresponding versions of the same product. So the part of the artificial intelligence, we use generative adversarial networks. This system works with two neural networks, the designer, which is actually a generator, and the auditor neural network, which is actually a discriminator. The designer uses as an input the base design and starts to create the different 3D outputs according to that input. And the auditors, since it's trained with thousands or whatever you have in that moment, examples of the specific metaverse or the platform that you are working with, this auditor says to the other model, okay, this is not a Sandbox model, so try it again. So the designer do it another model, and the auditor start to evaluate, and you iterate this process until you finally have the final and required quality, and the auditor cannot longer decide if it is or not a Sandbox example in this case, no? A little bit more technical or more details. The generator, which is, as I said, an artificial neural network, is fed with the brand design. It generates models, 3D models, and in the second neural network, which is actually a classification model, this neural network is fed and trained with two types of inputs: the Sandbox design examples, which are actually real examples, and the generated models coming from the generator. This classification model, what it gives us is probabilities. Probabilities that tell us if this gives us 1, is that this classification model doesn't or cannot any longer says it is not a Sandbox. It is not a Sandbox model. In this case, since we are providing it with two different data sets, we can actually split those probabilities into the Sandbox model probability and the generative model probability. Once we have those probabilities, we correct them. Why? Because we know that the Sandbox models, or the probabilities for that models, are actually real models. So we are saying to the system, okay, no, you are telling me that this is a 0.4 probability that this is a Sandbox model, but I know that it's a Sandbox model. So we correct with ones the probabilities. The other way around, since these generated models, the system is telling us, okay, this is the probabilities that these are actual Sandbox models, and we know that this is not the required quality of the generated models, we correct them to 0, to say to the system, these are not what we want. Then with that correction of the errors, we calculate the error rate, and we backpropagate it to both of the neural networks, and we iterate this process until finally we have the required quality, and the system provides us with most certainly ones in both of the data sets. That's the part of the artificial intelligence. The part of the nested NFTs. Once we have the final 3D models, we upload them into an interplanetary file system, which is a decentralized database, which is thought to be serving to create some kind of, well, not some kind, the NFTs, meaning that when you upload these 3D models, you create something that is a content identifier, which is a hash. With this hash, what you are able to do is to connect the content with an NFT. At this moment, we are doing it with some third parties like Chart Particles, because the blockchainers are super expensive, and basically one salary of one guy or those guys are all over funding. But in the second phase, we're going to develop it in Solidity using the smart contract ERC1155 that allow us to create these nested NFTs. So wrapping up, then finally it's dependent on us if the metaverse is the next big thing and the good thing, or it is the next digital prison. So thank you very much, and that's it.
Thank you, Carlo.
Yeah.
Now we have time for Q&A session.
Yes.
So does anyone have questions? Okay.
Question please, from where do you get your trading data?
Yes, the training data, we are using web scrapings to get the 3D models, and that's one part. And the big part of the database to get the training data, we are using 3D developers. So we are creating that database for specifics.
You do it by yourself?
Exactly.
Target values?
Yeah, so we have in our team 3D developers who are actually developing 3D models for different platforms. Yes, because at the end, yes, that's the problem. That's why I said, no, depending on what you have, no, because and this is a big issue. And actually, we are starting to experiment with other techniques. Which are not only GANs. We are starting to experiment with the style transfers, which are more like algorithmic way of do it that doesn't require too much training. Because yes, we are dealing with that issue.
Okay, another one.
That was going to be my question. Have you looked at doing image transformers?
Yes, actually, yes. Yes. The bias and everything we have tested. Well, we have investigated them and researched, but we haven't tested. But yes, at this moment the GANs are being very difficult and hard to train, and we're going to. That's why we are trying to have a lighter way to do it. But yes, but good, yeah.
Okay.
This is a business-to-business model, right?
Yes.
So you're selling the service to these companies.
Yes.
Okay. What I'm interested is this is a business-to-business model, you still need a lot of users to get into the marketplace and get to the and buy these products. Mm-hmm. Is the metaverse going to be available for a lot of people? Because as far as I know, it's just that you need the Oculus and these kind of things, and these are out of reach for many people. So what is the plan with the metaverse to reach like something like a cell phone?
Okay, yeah, good point. Yeah, actually, at this moment, the majority of the platforms that you can enter to the metaverse are mainly with your computer. Okay. Some of them are also being available by using your phone. But yes, I guess that the ultimate vision is to get with a more immersive reality, no, with virtual reality and everything. The thing is that talking about the business model, yes, we started to this with B2B, but the thing is that we are going to also to create our own collections. And the thing, because why we choose GANs is because we want to integrate an NLP layer, and the final objective or the final vision is that the user can access to our web, can write what they want. For example, give me a wearable of a Pikachu red or whatever, not some, I don't know, or a Bukeiro wearable. And this will create that a Bukeiro wearable or Pikachu wearable. So in that moment, we will jump into a B2C business model. But the thing is that we decided to at this moment to start with a business to business. But yes, I guess we need that massive adoption to be actually profitable.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the nested NFT. I mean, what happens if you want to add another metaverse to the system? Is it possible to program it in a way that you can add and it automatically mints the new metaverse from the nested NFT?
Automatically, no. We have to program in the smart contract that new chain. The only thing and the limit that we have is that this new platform of the metaverse doesn't uses Ethereum. We have a big issue because we cannot do it because the standard that we are using is only for Ethereum. The good thing is that Ethereum is like the facto at this moment chain that is going to be used for the platforms, and their subsequent chains, like Polygon, Sandbox with Sand is based on Ethereum. So that's something good for us. But yes, if a new platform is arriving to the business, we have to include it in the smart contract.
Yeah, but can it work retrospectively because they own like minted already NFTs?
Yes, actually yes. With the previous standards, yes, you can mint in that 1155 token. You can actually put fungible tokens inside of it, so you can have a non-fungible token together with Ethereum coins or whatever. Yeah, it's really, really nice. And actually, just a couple of days ago, I don't remember the number of the standard of Ethereum, but there's a new standard that allows you to rent NFTs. So this is something also good for us because we want to rent the wearables, and you can have two users, the proprietary and the user. And the user will only access to that NFT by a period of time. So this will solve us a lot of issues.
Okay, great. Any more questions?